Yeah. And do you find a video like that may not perform as well? Does that have any impact on the performance of your next more general video?
So it all goes back to impressions again. So what you tend to find is when you go through like big growth, and you can see it in your data, you can see this blue line, which is new audience, and then your purple line, which is return viewers. If I get a big spike in new viewers, I can get more impressions on release of my next video with a lower click-through rate. Now, it's almost like YouTube saying, yes, we've got a bigger pool of people to test your stuff with. So when I was growing at 2,000 subscribers a day, I'd put out a video now that after that just would have died. It had a rubbish click-through rate, but YouTube gave it was like my best performing video at that time. It just flew. In fact, all of them did whilst I was growing really quick. And then as the new audience slowed down, it was almost like the unique pool of people got smaller and smaller, and less people returned to the content. And then it felt like, oh man, I get the best retention, best click-through rates I've ever had, and maybe YouTube's not pushing me quite as much. So that's what I've found, but I don't know if that's necessarily true across the board. And I'm kind of always a bit careful because I know that, you know, the big entertainment channels out there can have breakouts all the time. So a breakout meaning if you go and look at a YouTube channel who's got as the thumbnail, set up the context as to like who this is for, and created some more intrigue. I think, and this is tough, and most people don't like doing this. The first thing is to accept that your idea is boring, and it's very unclickable. And that's the first thing I do every time. I'm like, what do I want to talk about? Okay, I want to stop making search terms in the hope that YouTube shows those 1,000 people some more in my videos, and the kind of more interesting topic, when they see it on the homepage, they go, that's interesting, click on it and come back. So it's not a magic number, it's just what I tested, and it seemed to work. So you really need some sort of audience there in your data before you make a switch, and then you don't have to jump. You can go between different types of content. But the problem with search is it's always new. It's like, make something to find new people, not how do I bring the community back. And for me, that's what YouTube's about, building a community. So step one, use search, for sure. But once you've started to get some traction, test this sort of more human interest-based content that isn't saying exactly what a video is about. People don't tend to click on that because it's not that interesting compared to like Mr. Beast doing something amazing on the homepage. And then you got to sort of keep pushing yourself because the homepage is kind of where the best creators in the world hang out. So
Exactly.
Whoever's watching your video, no matter, you know, they're going to watch tons of other creators. So when YouTube puts your video on the homepage next to these best creators in the world, you've got to get a click against people who have teams of 100 people working on their channel. It's not a level playing field. And that means you really have to understand your audience, understand what it is they care about, and then how to package your content. And that takes practice. And actually, it's nearly the exact opposite of search. Search is just right what this is about. The homepage is kind of about how push. But really, it was just a story that was interesting. And that, I remember when I released it being like, oh man, this did rubbish. Like, I can't believe I thought this was going to do so well. I've never seen anyone do this before. And then 2 weeks later, picking up 2,000 subscribers a day. So there's so much going on with YouTube, and that's what makes it so hard. It's like it's impossible really for people to know exactly what metric they need. The best thing we can do is try and keep improving on the basics. But impressions is something that people don't focus on enough. And actually, I get a lot of comments, people going, oh, my best performing video %. And I'll look and be like, yeah, but that video got me 5 million impressions. YouTube pushed it more than the others. So they're kind of measuring the metrics as well. So it's never as black and white as retention. And actually, my worst retention video has done the best. It didn't do very well compared to the previous videos, but it did something right because YouTube kept pushing it, and then it got more and more impressions and the retention. It's never as black and white with retention. And actually, my worst retention video has done the best. It didn't do very well compared to the previous videos, but it did something right because YouTube kept pushing it, and then it got more and more impressions. It's never as black and white with retention. And actually, my worst retention video has done the best. It didn't do very well compared to the previous videos, but it did something right because YouTube kept pushing it, and then it got more and more impressions. It's never as black and white with retention. And actually, my worst retention video has done the best. It didn't do very well compared to the previous videos, but it did something right because YouTube kept pushing it, and then it got more and more impressions. It's never as black and white with retention. And actually, my worst retention video has done the best. It didn't do very well compared to the previous videos, but it did something right because YouTube kept pushing it, and then it got more and more impressions. It's never as black and white with retention. And actually, my worst retention video has done the best. It didn't do very well compared to the previous videos, but it did something right because YouTube kept pushing it, and then it got more and more impressions, and the retention dropped even more. And you'd look at it now, and I'd say this video has a click-through rate of 2% and the retention of 35%, but it's got 1.5 million views.
Wow.
So, you know, when you talk about these metrics, it's not a case of be the key to make the audience interested in a product review, even if the product itself isn't that interesting. It's from the Irie. I'm dying to do product reviews because you can have so much fun. Literally doesn't matter. You could make anything interesting. And the key to do that is to firstly work out what the interesting thing about it is. Even if they're dull products, the result something can have is one of the most interesting things. You've got to work out why do people really want to buy this, and then you've got to think, how do I show that result? How do I show them the thing that they are most excited about, rather than just sit there telling them? And there might be a challenge. So, for example, if a camera came out and Sony was saying it had an amazing battery life, I'd say, right, to try and prove this, we're going to go into the mountains for a week with one battery, and we're going to try and film the whole entire YouTube. So, challenge, and then you can start to, you know, go into more detail, show people what makes this interesting. And that means you can't just sit there. Should you ever include no, never. Just never do that. You cannot have it. You have your attention. And it's annoying. Next question. More content or perfectionist answers? Neither. Is the answer to that. What we want to do is improve every video we make. We're not striving for perfection. Firstly, because not many of us can be perfect. So we're trying to get something close to what we need to make. But also, James, who works for me, he's a perfectionist. Everything takes hours and hours and hours. I have to say to him, please do not give this content. It's a great problem because a lot of people won't do because they might be a bit lazy or they might not push themselves. But if you're a perfectionist, only 70%, 80%, always make it to the each time because you just can't get anywhere. How do you stop perfectionism? There's been quite a few I want to tell you something. My most viewed video, which is 2 million views, I'm out of focus the entire video. When it cuts to me, I'm out of focus. And I shot it at the studio that I used to have. We got back and it's like, that's not in focus. I'm like, screw it. I've never been a perfectionist in certain things I do like to obsess over, but I know that people watching things on a phone, and actually most people would never even notice. And even if they did, to connect, as long as the rest of the content's good, and so what? But also the cool thing about that was, it forced me to use more B-roll, which made the video more interesting. If you are struggling with perfectionism, I think what you need to look more at is why do you think it needs to be perfect? Is this the fear of being judged? And also, who's judging you? So I say to James all the time, when he's editing stuff, remember, we're not making videos for professional producers who know everything about cameras and YouTube. We're making videos for people who need to learn how to grow. They're not going to notice that the light wasn't around it. And if they do, probably not quite the right channel for them. So you're not necessarily getting judged in the way you think you are. Because you spend so much time on looking at things, you notice things people do. You've got to just accept that no one wants to have it. They would rather something very good and the ability for you to keep putting content out so you can keep improving and also if you're procrastinating, bringing in what you do on part of it, you can find out excellent things to do. So you might want to look at outsource anything that you procrastinate on.
Yeah, yes? Yep. Take a hat.
chance to show it off over a slightly tense double date. Over their mutual love of